Part 1: A Dream of Freedom.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back.
Imagine spending 27 years in prison,
Not because you stole something, not because you hurt innocent people.
but because you believed every person should be treated equally.
Most people would lose hope. Most people would become angry.
But one man walked out of prison with something stronger than anger.
He walked out with forgiveness. His name was Nelson Mandela.
Today, he is remembered as one of the greatest leaders in history. He helped unite a divided nation,
Inspired millions around the world, and proved that courage is not the absence of fear.
it is the decision to keep moving forward despite it.
This is the remarkable story of a boy from a small
African village who changed the course of history.
So, sit back, relax, and let's begin.
A boy from a small village, Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in the tiny village of Mvzeto in South Africa.
His family belonged to the Themba royal community, but they lived a simple life. As a child, Nelson spent most of his days outdoors.
He ran across open fields, cared for animals, and listened to elders tell stories around evening fires.
Those stories were not just entertainment.
They were lessons about courage, honesty, and responsibility.
The village taught Nelson something that stayed with him forever.
A true leader serves others before serving himself. A new name. When Nelson was old enough, he attended a local school.
On his first day, his teacher gave every child an English name. This was common under British colonial rule. She chose the name Nelson for him.
Although he accepted the new name, he never forgot his African identity.
He believed that education could open doors. He studied hard. He asked thoughtful questions.
He respected his teachers, but he also learned to think independently.
Books became windows into a much larger world.
They introduced him to history, politics, and the idea that every human being deserved dignity and equal rights.
A young man with big dreams.
As Nelson grew older, he moved away from his village to continue his education.
He studied at university, where he met students from different backgrounds. For the first time, he clearly saw how unfair South African society had become. At that time, racial discrimination affected almost every part of daily life. Many black South Africans were denied basic rights.
They faced restrictions on where they could live, work, travel, and even which schools they could attend. Nelson believed this system was deeply unjust.
He decided that simply accepting it was impossible. Instead of remaining silent, he chose to stand up for fairness and equality. Discovering his purpose.
After leaving university, Nelson moved to Johannesburg. The city was busy, crowded, and full of opportunity.
He worked during the day while continuing his studies at night.
Eventually, he became a lawyer.
Together with other lawyers,
he helped people who could not afford legal representation.
Every day, he met families whose lives had been affected by unfair laws. Listening to their stories strengthened his determination.
He realized that changing one person's life was important.
Changing unjust laws was even more important.
Slowly, Nelson became one of the leading voices calling for justice in South Africa.
He understood that the road ahead would be dangerous,
but he also believed that freedom was worth every sacrifice.
He had no idea that his choices would soon lead him into one of the longest imprisonments of any political leader in modern history. And yet, those prison walls would never be strong enough to imprison his hope.